Hello and welcome everyone to the Indie Football Podcast episode number 88. We are slowly going towards the century mark, and as I say this, I realize this is something that I have been saying since we have been in the 80s of the episodes. But today marks a really special day for us because we are joined by Shaji Prabhakaran. Everyone who has been associated or even remotely followed Indian football or Asian football in recent times of course knows this name. It's almost like a household name for someone who has an interest in Indian football. Thank you, Shaji sir, for taking out the time. First things first, how are you feeling today? You mentioned you are in Jaipur, so how's the last few days been for you?
It's Thank you for having me. It's For me, it's a pleasure to be part of your show. Yeah, I'm doing good. Just for some work, I'm here in Jaipur and be spending few days in Rajasthan, uh, interacting with young minds, basically. That way, trying to grow my horizon in the sense and trying to give back something to the young generation in terms
Right,
of
right.
their future, those who are part of the sports industry or otherwise those who wants to do something with Indian sports.
Other than football, also, sir, you follow a lot of other sports. I saw your tweets during the Olympics, how each medal made you so happy, and also I saw how you have an affinity towards shooting, also yourself, isn't it?
I follow sports definitely. Being a student of sports, I follow most of the sports. But then when our athlete, does well, then it really, gives you that good feeling because sports industry in India has a lot of potential,
Right,
and
right.
each of those achievements really, gives the encouragement to your own self that you once you have invested this much time and energy for Indian sport, so therefore those achievements really makes you happy for the time because we have very less moments to celebrate with Indian sports that way. So these are
Hmm.
the moments which
Absolutely.
makes you happy. Therefore, you would like to be part of that celebration, and then I was there in Paris as well to experience Olympics. So therefore, all the way to back the hockey team, saw their games. It was really good experience at the end.
Yeah, absolutely, sir. I think one of the first questions that came in my mind that I wanted to personally ask when Anukar sir was kind enough to reach out to you and you were generous to accept the offer and come to accept the invitation rather and come to our podcast is your role as or your tenure as the AIFF general secretary. There were many good points. Of course, they are. We are in our 88th episode talking about Indian football. Everyone comes has a particular opinion about it. There's certain truth to it. There's certain. I would not say bias, but everyone comes in with their own set of experiences depending on which stakeholder they represent. So we will ask you this question: what were some of the key challenges that you had faced being a general secretary of AIFF for the many years that you held that position?
I see the challenges are very inherent with Indian football. That is there because see, the expectations are very high among all the stakeholders and especially fans because football is a very competitive sport, and therefore how you really bring all the stakeholders to one platform and to trust and believe in the work what you want trying to do, that
Yeah.
is very important. And unless until that happens, your challenges are only going to multiply. So therefore, those are the real challenges because you can't get those big wins or big results on the pitch in short term to medium term. And therefore the pains are going to be longer than
Hmm.
the gains. Therefore, how you take along everyone as one team, and they are there, part of the whole thing in the whole journey. during the highs and lows. Therefore, how you can bring them to trust the process. That's very important. That's the biggest challenge. So therefore, we were, I along with my team was trying exactly to do, that process, initiated that process, and we were quite successful, I would say, for first 6 months because we had some success on the pitch
Yeah.
and we could generate a lot of support, belief, and trust in the process what we were trying to
Hmm.
do. But then
Right.
the moment the Asian Games scenario started, since say, especially August, September, the things have started in a different direction. But then, you know, football in India is very challenging, because there is a lot to be done, in every aspect. There's nothing which is ready at the moment. Yeah. So therefore, it's the strategy and the teamwork, building the capacity in the system, and then how you know, build that trust in the entire process, entire system. And our structure is weak, our systems are weak. So therefore, you touch whatever, it is, weak. Therefore, it is like a very delicate thing you are handling. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Right.
and that way, you have to be very strategic, and until unless, I can say what I think, but then it is at the end it's a teamwork. Yeah, everyone will have to have that one goal, one,
Right.
way of working together.
Yes.
So therefore,
Correct.
it's not an easy situation for anyone to be there and do things, in the way everyone wants to see things happening. So that way, it's challenging. But then, that's the challenge, I love to, handle. And yeah, unfortunately, I'm no longer part of it. But then, whatever I could do, I did my best. That's what I can say. Yeah. But then there are things not in control which I can't do much. Yeah. But then there are many positives, then negatives during my time. I can say that proudly.
Sir, just one more thing. I think we'll need to edit the next 1 minute. If you can move your camera a bit closer to you, sir, I think that would be great. Not though, not you. I'm talking about, sir. Just a
Yeah.
bit. Yeah, so that we can, capture the
Yeah,
essence
this is
better.
fine. Yeah, this is
Yeah,
fine.
sir. Yes, it's better now. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. We can
Yeah.
continue though.
Okay. Uh, we'll just add this part. All right. I think that's a fair representation of your time at that helm as AIFF's general secretary, sir. But I think now is a very nice time for. Actually, we did take out our time to ask our followers, the people who follow us, on questions that they wanted to ask you. So, Anukar sir, if you have any specific fan questions, then I think this is a very nice time to lighten the mood and ask one of those questions.
Yeah, there were some funny questions, like some were asking, "Do you have a girlfriend?" and questions like that. But I
Random.
just skipped to the yeah, but I just skipped to the serious ones. Sir, we had a fan named Vishal. He asked a question about your time at Delhi. So he was saying that it was marred by a lot of controversies and a lot of other things. Now, I want to ask from your point of view, how do you see it with the corruption that has happened all over the years at the Delhi Football Association? How you looked at it? What are the challenges you kind of uh, uh, challenges you faced, and how you overcame them? Like just give us a basic guide as to clear the air on the whole matter.
No, see, I think during my time, I being, I was there almost 4.5 years as president. We completely transformed things from, there was like complete structure was built from grassroots to the top. We had Premier League for the first time. We had the Youth League, the Grassroots League, Women's League, and we were the biggest. having women's league, and then we never had even full-time staff. We had full-time staff, office, everything. So therefore, the
Hmm.
controversy was around only, say one or two things, which is almost normal in any situation because, yeah, football is very
Yeah.
challenging. Therefore, you cannot please everyone. So therefore, some NGO kind of entity which was part of women's football, they had created, a lot of challenges in terms of, their own aspiration, expectations, and all, and they went all out on the social media. But that happens. They have their own expectations, and association has its own rules, regulations. Therefore, that's the only controversy I faced, and there were no other controversies I faced. So therefore, people only look to, remember only controversies. That's real, the practical aspect. But then, what I have done, from when I joined as the president, elected as president, there was no money in the system. Yeah,
Hmm.
there was nothing. And when I left, I left with 1 crore in the bank.
Wow.
And that too, we had 2 years of COVID. Had not been COVID, then Delhi would have been really big in terms of everything, because that
Right.
was done in spite of those 2 years of crisis with COVID. But then, the idea was to strengthen the foundation, build the structure, engage more stakeholders, and strengthen the clubs. Yeah. So that process, it is not that overnight it can happen. So they
Hmm.
need to continue that, and maybe in 10, 15 years, Delhi can have a very strong football ecosystem, because in Delhi, the community is far from football in terms of clubs. Yeah. There were times, say 30 years back, when some of the clubs used to attract huge fans, but the whole psychology has changed, and the
Hmm.
demography has changed, and the entertainment scenario has changed, and then all the mind space and the mindset has changed. Therefore, football will have to work in a very different way to build that community around football clubs and football ecosystem. Therefore,
Right.
new strategies, fresh strategies in terms of today's generation, how they can be attracted to football. That's a process, that we initiated, but then I don't know really today where and how things are. Yeah, definitely there are challenges in terms of, some kind of, say, match manipulations,
Hmm.
where we have read something, those are the real challenges which are coming in Indian football, and especially in cities, metro cities, and some big football playing locations. Those are the real challenges we have to really deal very proactively,
But
and
sir,
we
I'm
need
just
to
stop.
have,
Sorry to
yeah.
interrupt you here. I just have one question. Like, since we talked about that, of course, there are some miscreants who would want to, gain something personal out of it. And since we have worked there, now, as you know, currently Delhi Football Association has had a lot of controversy regarding match fixing and other allegations. During your tenure, sir, and of course, with all due respect to the excellent work you have done, did you also have people around you who you felt were kind of having a more selfish motive, wanting to gain profit out of Indian football in a way that would harm its future? Did you kind of feel that around you, any of your colleagues or anything? Without taking any
No,
names,
no,
of course.
nothing as such, because there were, unless you have evidence, you cannot speak on that, yeah.
Yeah.
And if you have evidences, then definitely will take action, yeah. So
Hmm.
therefore, these are all rumors. Some people will talk about things, but then you, as a responsible person, having a responsible position, you
Yeah.
cannot, go and
Indulge.
speak.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Anything like that, it will be totally irresponsible. Yeah. So
Yeah.
if you have evidence, then we have initiated actions on certain things, but then not nothing like that what you're mentioning. But then, see, there are, threats. Yeah, there are threats, which, but then you need to have a strong structure, and also you need to work very closely with law enforcing agencies, and also you need to have requisite, regulations around everywhere, so that
Mm,
there you create lot of what do you say, fences, where this kind of people or mindset doesn't prevail or get into the system. So therefore, what we did also, we have changed, revised our constitution as well, so as to create that kind of environment where you have modern governance aspects into it.
right.
But then, it cannot be done in a day's time or a month's time. It's a process. And then, you're dealing with humans, yeah, and they are part of the system, how you build their capacity. That is very
Mm,
important. It is not that, you are a police where you don't like somebody, you will just, put them behind the bar. It can't happen that way.
absolutely.
So therefore,
Absolutely.
how you educate people, very important, because there are things, people are not aware. Yeah, they're far away from that global football
Yeah, yeah.
regulations as well. And
Yes,
that
sir.
way, you have the responsibility to educate and have preventive mechanism in your structure, and where proactively you can deal with threats, and also you are prepared to deal any eventualities. Yeah,
Mm,
not like you are reacting to it. You are proactively
absolutely.
dealing with it. So therefore,
Absolutely.
we in my time, we had taken a lot of precautions, and that's how we have signed with global competent organizations as well, in terms of
Mm,
preventing match manipulations, and also highlight giving us looking into the matches and sharing those reports as well, so that is there anything wrong happening or not. Yeah, so
mm,
we have, with my global network connections, I could bring them, and make them part of daily football. So that where the real fences we were trying to build around the game, so that people doesn't take things lightly.
right.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned a very close topic within the sports domain for me personally, because I am. You mentioned educating different stakeholders to understand how we can, move towards a better and a more constructive future. I would. In fact, sir, you might, of course, it's difficult for you to keep a count on the number of people you meet, but sir, I and you have been within like a couple of meters the distance of each other when you had come for the GISB's executive program launch last year
Okay.
in May. It was
Yes,
in
yes, Mumbai.
2023. It was in Mumbai. I think it was Novotel, Juhu over there. So you, of course, had come at that time. I think you were in the AIFF position, so you had come and
Yeah, exactly.
a lot. So I do remember the entire speech that you had given, and like you had walked past me, and I remember how at that time, so much since because I'm also a GISB student, so now I have passed out
Okay.
of this. I was from the last batch. Uh,
Okay.
you mentioned education, so how important you feel, so this question current has two separate arms. First, you, of course, everyone knows, like we it's a bit surface level knowledge for people to talk about how education is important for the progress of the sports domain of our country. But like, do you think currently the AIFF licensing new rules that have come in, that we want these many amount of coaches, and how we want in general the football education in India, how do you rate it currently, and what are certain changes that you feel need to be more specified in the next 5 to 10 years to ensure we have more skilled professionals. You mentioned there are so many different aspects, so many different moving parts to the progress of Indian football. We today we won't come and ask you that what is going to help Indian football. We know what is going to help Indian football, but do we what from our end or from people around you, what do you think it is going to take on an immediate and an executional level for you to understand from an education POV that this is what India should be doing with their young professionals in the next 5 to 10 years for us to move towards a better future? Let's not speak about probably of course the vision 20 for 2047 is a very detailed document. So if you can just tell us more along those lines, and your experience of having done so much around Indian football, your knowledge, your expertise. Now, if someone wants is just taking the baton from you and going forward, what are 3 points that you would tell that person to be wary of?
Oh, see, education uh, is the continuous process. Yeah, I still, upskill myself on a like a daily basis, and also I do formal as well as informal education to upskill myself. So that way, I'm, keep my mind, eyes, and heart, everything open. Yeah. So that way,
Yeah,
because what you know today might not be relevant tomorrow. Yeah.
absolutely.
And because the world is changing very fast, and it's evolving because of daily developments. And the sports, people think, oh, football, whatever you have done in 50s, 60s, you can still do, and you can still play in Olympics, yeah, or win Asian games. No. The thing is that you know our capacity is weak, yeah, because when I say capacity, it is about taking decision, take, and executing that decision on the ground, and also having a complete holistic outlook of viewing things from today to next 2 years to 5 years down the line to 20 years. Yeah. So
Hmm.
therefore, whatever you do today, it has to have a futuristic outcome. Because
Yeah.
if you do today something, if you expect that the outcome will come tomorrow in this form, so therefore your decisions might not be right. Yeah,
Right.
because we are in a long haul. Yeah, to produce that winning performance on the pitch. Yeah. So that holistic understanding of the how globally things are working and what we have to do, and at the same time how you build your capacity, in horizontally, vertically, and in the periphery everywhere. Yeah. So it is not about one man having the knowledge.
Hmm.
You need a army of people, at
Yeah.
every level. And that is where our biggest weakness in the system is, because from the leadership at the top to many level, the capacity is low. And therefore your decision making uh, are mostly something which you want to have some immediate outcome. Yeah. And that is where we keep getting wrong. And therefore those who are building themselves to contribute in any aspect of the game, they have to have a long term perspective. But at the same time, you have to be very open minded in terms of
Hmm.
adopting uh, to the new situation on a daily basis, because game is fast evolving. And today with data science, analytics, and the technology moving at a bullet speed,
Yeah.
you have to be at a different mindset, yeah, to bring about to that transformative uh, aspect to everything what you do. Whether you run a club, whether you are managing a state association, or or you are a startup, or you are doing some business with football or sport. So therefore,
Yeah.
the opportunities, see, the good thing is the opportunities are growing, yeah, and
Mm,
and there is and what you can learn today faster, uh, you are in an advantageous position than what you were maybe 10 years back. Yeah.
makes
So
sense.
that way, you know, what it needs is that, like a lot of people have to come together, and it is not necessary you need to be part of the federation to bring about change. Yeah. Wherever, whichever position or aspect you are dealing, you have to think that way. Yeah. That you can contribute, and you can create a niche around, and the game can grow, where whatever level you are working. So that mindset is required. But then, the problem is, because, see, the lack of performances, a lot of negativity around, the controversies, all
Yeah,
around, our focus mostly, are into the negative side. And therefore, many of them, they lose hope, and they think that, nothing is happening. And that is where we lose a lot of folks, who are brighter, who can contribute, all that. So therefore, see them. I can go on and go on speaking, but then education, when we talk about, education, we see our coach education, we don't have elite coaches, yeah. Like,
mm,
say, a country of 1.4 billion, we need, more than 200 to 500 elite coaches who can really shape those talents. Yeah, we
but
can't,
sir, who is stopping the administration from hiring them? Is it the